Look, sometimes the holidays are just lighter. 1, 2, maybe 3 people. I want to show you how I used to do it when I was rolling solo. A couple of herb-crusted roasted Cornish hens, a few side dishes, potatoes, green beans. All simple, all delicious. Nothing more, nothing less. We're going to start off by knocking out some prep. Sound good? Let's cook. All right, Comies, I've got 2 Cornish hens. Now, these are a cross between a Cornish and a White Rock chicken. They're a young bird and usually weigh in between 1 to 1.5 pounds. They're also commonly frozen, so you're going to need to thaw them out. What we're going to do next is thoroughly pat them dry with a paper towel on the outside and in the inside cavity. This is to help ensure our skin gets nice and crispy brown. Let's briefly set these to the side, and then I'm going to make a rub for these hens. We are going to finely grate 1 clove of garlic. Then we're going to add the zest of 1 lemon. Now for some fresh herbs, I've got 1 sprig of rosemary, and usually the top part of the rosemary stem is nice and tender, so we're going to use that. And then the bottom part is a little woodier, so I'm just going to hold it in one hand and then squeeze off the leaves. Then what I like to do is roll it up in a tight little ball and then finely mince. We're going to set that into the bowl, and then the same thing for the thyme. I have in between 6 and 7 fresh thyme sprigs. These are nice and tender and not woody, so we're going to roll them up and finely mince them. Add them to the bowl along with 1 teaspoon of regular paprika. You could use smoked or sweet. Next, a 1/4 cup of good olive oil. Then what I'm going to add in is 2 teaspoons of coarse salt and then a 1/2 teaspoon of cracked black pepper. Mix it until it's combined and then give it a little taste. Make sure it's flavorful and it has enough salt and pepper. Let's bring back our hens and then evenly divide our rub between both of them, and then just using your hands, massage the rub all over the hens on every single side, including the inside cavity. These look great. Now at this stage, to partially truss my hen, I'm going to tuck the back wings underneath the hen. This is going to help stabilize it so it doesn't rock back and forth. Then what I'm going to do is tie the drums together to keep everything in nice and tight. So using some butcher's twine, push the drums together and then tie a knot. Now you can tie a double knot here. What I usually like to do, and it's really just for aesthetics, is tie a nice pretty bow right on top. Fantastic. Now what I'm going to do is transfer the hens right to a roasting pan with a rack in it. I like to have a rack in there so I can get some nice browning on the underneath parts of the hens. And then to make sure I've got as much flavor as possible, I'm going to use a rubber spatula and scrape off that rub right onto the hens. All that goodness should not go to waste. We're now going in the oven on a lower rack at 425 degrees Fahrenheit. It's going to take in between 50 and 60 minutes or until it reads 165 degrees Fahrenheit internally in the thickest part of the breasts. Also, make sure you got a rack towards the top of the oven as well. So we still have about 40 minutes for our hens to finish up cooking. This is perfect to finish up our side dishes to ensure everything comes together at the same time. We're first going to start off with our potatoes. I'm going a little heavier here because I love potatoes, so I have 1.5 pounds of baby red potatoes that we're going to slice in half widthwise. Now, if you're using regular red potatoes, you're going to want to quarter them. We're going to add them to a large bowl. Then we're going to drizzle on 3 tablespoons of olive oil. Now, using your hand, rock the potatoes back and forth, and then in the other hand, begin to season it with coarse sea salt. This will ensure all the potatoes are properly seasoned. Then we're going to freshly grind in some black pepper. We're going to rock the bowl back and forth again. Fantastic. We're transferring over to a sheet tray lined with parchment paper. And what I usually like to do is place them cut side down. Parchment can help in the browning process. And then we're going in the oven. Ooh, a little smoky there from the Cornish hens on the pan. No problem. Remember that top rack I told you about? We're putting it on there and cooking it at 425 degrees Fahrenheit for between 22 and 25 minutes. Even if these finish up a little bit before the hens are done cooking, they can hold for up to 15 minutes and still be perfect. As soon as that oven door is closed, let's start with our green beans amandine, which should take 20 minutes from start to finish by placing a large pot of water and cranking it up to high and bringing it to a boil. In the meantime, we're going to start up some prep. I'm going to slice off the stem ends of 2 garlic cloves. Then I'm going to give them a quick mash and a fine mince. Let's set that to the side in a bowl. Then I have 1 peeled shallot, which I'm going to small dice. We're also adding it to that exact same bowl. Set this to the side. For the green beans, I'm going to be using haricots verts, which are a French breed of green beans. They tend to be a little longer and a little bit thinner, but obviously regular green beans will work perfect in this recipe. And the good thing about these is that they already come trimmed. I'm taking it back over to my large pot. Hopefully it's to a nice boil. We're going to season it up with coarse salt. I want to make sure it's salty enough to taste like the ocean so that it flavors up our green beans. And this will also help keep that nice bright green color. We're gonna cook them for exactly 3 minutes. I like to constantly move things around. And look, if you don't have a lot of experience with cooking and knowing when things are done, just try it. Is it nice and crunchy, but still a little bit tender on the inside? And if it's not, cook it for another minute or two, no problem. Next, I'm going to shock them in a container with an ice bath in there, which is just ice and water. After I pour them in there, I move everything around, and just as soon as they are cool, maybe 1 or 2 minutes, I'm going to remove the ice and then drain them. We want to make sure they don't sit in that water so they don't become waterlogged. Now for cooking these, I'm adding a 12-inch stainless steel saute pan right to the burner, along with 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter. Remember, you control the salt content, not a butter company. Let's turn the heat up to low-medium. Then as soon as it's melted, we're adding in 2/3 cup of sliced almonds. You could also use slivered almonds here. And we're going to cook these while frequently stirring for in between 4 to 6 minutes or until they start to brown up just like this. Awesome. And then just like when sauteing my mushrooms, we're going to scrape all the almonds to one side of the pan, and then in the other, we're going to add that finely minced garlic and shallots along with 1 tablespoon of unsalted butter. We're just going to cook this on this end of the pan for 30 to 45 seconds or until the garlic and shallots become fragrant. Then we're going to mix everything together just like this. At this stage, let's add in our green beans along with a few more things. 1 more tablespoon of unsalted butter. We're going to generously season it with coarse salt and fresh cracked black pepper. Then we're going to squeeze in the juice of 1/2 lemon, or about 1 tablespoon. Let's mix it all until combined, and then of course try it out. Make sure the seasonings are great. We're getting towards crunch time, and we can set these green beans aside for 5 to 10 minutes. They'll be fine. Let's go check on our potatoes. So let's take them out and transfer them right to a large bowl. They look fantastic. We are going to add on 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter, along with 2 tablespoons of minced fresh dill. You could also use dry dill. Then using a spoon, mix the ingredients together until they are combined. And of course, try it out again to make sure the seasonings are good. And as I said earlier, these will easily hold for 5 to 10 minutes. And just a couple minutes after that, I'm pulling out my Cornish hens. Beautiful, nice golden brown. We're gonna let them rest for about 4 to 5 minutes. It's time to eat. 70 minutes from start to finish. Not bad for a little impromptu holiday meal. Back when I was in college, I could never get off that Thanksgiving week. I always had to work. I could never go home. So this is what I made every single year, and I loved it. There was even one year my roommate, he couldn't get home either because he had to work, and we split it. He loved it too. These classic techniques just make better food and always the best memories, even if it's all the way back from college. All right, let me show you how I plate this up. I'm gonna do an old school veg starch and protein plating. So in between the 9 and 12 o'clock positions on the plate, I'm gonna add my starch, which are my potatoes. Then for the 12 to 3 o'clock position, I'm going to add on my green beans amandine, and I'm gonna top off with all those toasted almonds, shallot, and garlic goodness. Now for the hens, be sure to remove the butcher's twine. It's no good if that's on there. You can serve them whole, or you can cut them in half. I usually like to do it right through the center breastbone and through the backbone. It's just a really pretty presentation. Now you can serve these together on the plate in between that 3 and 9 o'clock position, or you can just serve one, whatever you'd like and are hungry for. And I usually finish with a little more fresh rosemary and thyme. Even if I'm rolling solo, this is dang delicious. There's just sometimes you can't make it home for those special events or for holidays. I've been there, trust me, I get it. But you can still make yourself and a few others a really delicious, simple, elegant meal like this one. If you give it a shot, I think you're gonna like it. And if you do like this, check out my pasta with sausage and pomodoro sauce. Oh, comes together in minutes and incredibly affordable. You're gonna love it. I've got a great recipe video. I'll see you on there.